everybody, KP here, and I am out today to visit the Shiloh Cemetery. This is one I actually visited with my teacher. Was it last semester? Maybe 2 semesters ago. It's been a little while. But from what I understand, this is like an African American cemetery. Or some people, I guess, prefer just black, depending on their perspective. And I'm going to turn this camera around. All right, so this is the outside gate of the cemetery. And this is the main entrance. There's not a lot of parking out on the street here. I actually had to park around the corner and then walk up. It's a small little hill to get up here. And if I can climb up here for a second, we have this. It's the Historic Fredericksburg Foundation, 1882 Shiloh Baptist Cemetery, and it looks like it's missing one of the little medals or whatever that is that's there. The other one is very difficult to see. It looks like an image of a man. And let's see, it says burial grounds of Shiloh Baptist, Old Site and New Site, and Mount Zion churches. And then up here it says gates presented by Ever Ready Club, Shiloh Old Site Church, May 30th. I think that says 1939. It's super sunny out here, so it's hard for me to see some of this stuff. Grab a couple pictures with my phone. And I'm gonna head on in. Okay, so real quick before we get started on this, first, I don't know what's going on. I've been home from France for like a complete month now, I think. And I have been sick like 3 or 4 times since returning back. And today I happen to be sick again. So if you hear me clearing my throat or sneezing or anything like that, that's what's going on. I don't know if it's allergies. I don't know what's happening. But I've been sick at least 3 times in the span of a month, and it lasts for 3 or 4 days and then clears up, and then I get sick again. So for that reason, I cannot speak very loudly. Hopefully my mic is picking up what I'm saying. There's also some really loud bugs out here in the trees, and it's a slightly windy day as usual when I visit cemeteries. Apparently that's what we get is wind. It seems kind of calm right now, so that's good. But just wanted to let y'all know what's going on. This is my first week back at school. First week of my final year. Woo! I feel great about that. This is a journey that I started back in 2000, believe it or not. And it has been years in the making, as I did like married life and the mommy thing and everything. Traveled a little bit, and now we've come full circle 20 something years later. Here we are. So I'm really, really proud about that. I took the most circuitous route that one could take to get their bachelor's degree, but that's okay. We're gonna keep it moving, heading towards a master's, and maybe more after that. We'll see. So that's what's been going on this week. I had a break today between class. I normally have a break today, but my teacher had jury duty, and so she ended up having to cancel class, which I was thrilled about because I only got like 3 hours of sleep last night, and I thought I could get a nap in my car. That didn't happen. Excuse me, my throat is just bothering me so much I can't really sleep. I did lay there for like 2 hours in my car in the heat. But that didn't work. So yeah, that's my life, the life of a non-traditional commuter student. I live an hour and 15, 20-ish minutes away from school. It ends up being about 2 hours drive time on a really bad day. And yeah, so I don't have a room to rest in. I don't have a quick trip home to grab lunch and things like that. Basically, am living out of my car while I'm in school. Not really, y'all. I go home at night, okay, but like it kind of feels like that, especially when we get community projects and my days get longer and I don't get that time to like get home, especially in the winter before the sun sets. So that's what I've been dealing with this week. I happen to have to stay after because they have the Fulbright meeting after school today, and I was thinking about doing a Fulbright since I am going to do a master's. I don't know what or where. There's not a lot in my field here in Virginia, not a lot to choose from. So I was thinking about going to Maryland. If I go to Maryland, it's going to be expensive because it's out of state. However, if I did a Fulbright, I could knock it out in a year, basically 10 months of like straight up schooling. And then the Fulbright would pay for that and possibly provide a housing stipend. So that would be a really cool thing if I could have that happen. But of course, that's a year when I have to live away from my family, but it could kind of be worth it if I come out of this without like a major debt for a master's degree. So we'll just see what happens. But anyway, I guess we can continue on. As usual, I'm out here experiencing cemeteries, learning about them, seeing what kind of damage there is, what kind of preservation practices are being used, just walking the sites and kind of learning what I can learn just from walking through. I try to be very non-invasive and just see what I see. I'm not trying to teach anyone or present myself as the expert of the cemetery or any cemetery. I'm just out here learning, and hopefully my YouTube videos can provide a place for others to collaborate and share information and learn as well. And in the future, I really hope to be able to interview some of the cemetery caretakers, some of the volunteer groups, and people who are getting things done in these cemeteries, and also maybe talk with descendants and find out what their experiences are like in the cemetery. So I'm starting a list today. If you know of anyone, right now I'm going to start in Virginia. So if you know of anyone in Virginia that you think would be interested, or you yourself would be interested, let me know. I can come out, walk your cemetery, talk with you, interview you, find out what's what, and maybe garner a little, I don't know the correct word. I was going to say notoriety. That's not exactly the word I want to use. And gather some positive interest in your cemetery, wherever it is, especially if it is a neglected, abandoned, or a cemetery severely lacking in funding. Hopefully through my videos we can build awareness around some of these issues and help the community to come together in celebration of these spaces. So let me know, leave me a comment if you know of anybody that I can meet up with, or any places I can visit. Particularly, I'm looking at minority cemeteries because those are the ones that are usually the most mistreated. Somebody coming through here in a truck. But yeah, I will go to any cemetery though. I wonder if they're getting ready to do some grounds work. Let's see. All right, so anyway, let's get started. Sorry for that very long sort of intro there. But here we are. This is the entrance. This is the main pathway. This is a quite small cemetery. I thought it would be a good one for today since I have some time before the Fulbright meeting. I have about 2 hours. It won't take that long to walk here unless I just really take my time. This is quite a beautiful space, honestly. And I can tell people have tried to care for it. I remember my teacher telling me that in the past people did some work here, like maybe a bunch of trees fell or something. And so people did a lot of work to try and restore that damage. You can see these trees are in rough condition. And there's no real pathways here. Everything is just sort of green. This is in a residential area, and past the gate over here, there's a road and then there's like a park. So it's still kind of a nice, quiet area. You can see the front gate is like brick and cast iron. But as you go around over here, that breaks up into a chain link fence. There's actually more protection and more security than a lot of cemeteries have. Right off the bat, I see a temporary marker down here that has met its demise. It still could be, saved and preserved. My hope, my guess is that this place has been fully recorded because it's not that large, right? So surely someone has taken the time, put the effort in to record it. I might check with my professor just to make sure it's an easy project that could be done here. This could be fully documented, all of the headstones assessed for, their condition. And this could even be mapped pretty easily with GPS/GIS, and it wouldn't take that long. Honestly, I feel like this is a project you could knock out in less than a month if you dedicated, a couple hours a week to it. Especially if it was more than just one person. It's a nice plot. This is a common problem you see in a lot of cemeteries, regardless of the race of the people buried there or the ethnicity of the people buried there, regardless of the economic status. This is just something that happens. Just, these headstones, they sink down into the ground, they get partially covered up, and eventually they're lost to time. They can sink down easily 1-2 feet and you wouldn't know it. You would just see little depressions in the ground. And there's several here. These are little, maybe like footstones. And then there's the larger stone here. And I apologize for the weird angle of my camera. I'm kind of on a hill. So the image is not going to be even and straight. We're kind of lopsided and crooked. There's something here. I don't know if that's a field stone or like a plot marker curbing. Maybe it's just a tree root. Let me see. Oh no, that's definitely stone. Oh, sorry, my mic. I don't have proper clothes to keep this mic in place, so hopefully it doesn't fall off and hopefully you can still hear me. And you can see the trees here and the ivy causing a bit of problem in the back. Definitely have some overgrowth. It looks like maybe somebody was working to clear it, but a poor little heart back here is getting choked out by all of the greenery. These, I would guess that somebody used some kind of weed killer around it. That's usually what kills the grass like that. Sorry, you got my shadow there. Normally, if you spray the stone with some kind of caustic cleaners or you spray around them with a weed killer, it does the dirt like this. But then again, these also look like new, fresh dirt. So it could be that somebody tried to reset these stones. Maybe they dug them up, straightened them up, reset them, and didn't flatten the dirt down, just sort of left it mounded up. There's a couple possibilities there. There's a big hole here I almost fell in. I'm gonna walk up the side of this plot. There's a trash can here. And some old flowers in it. Maybe someone was cleaning. Oof, it's mosquitoes. And I did everything but put on bug spray. I don't know what I was thinking. It's like we have some yucca plants. I've seen these in some Black/African American cemeteries. There seems to be some debate if these are cultural plantings or not. I did work at a Black cemetery, historic Black cemetery, where the descendants said these were definitely not cultural plantings, that there's no proof that their ancestors had this plant or honored this plant in any way, shape, or form. And then I've heard other people, not descendants of the cemetery, who definitely believe that this plant has cultural significance, probably going back to the days of enslavement and before. And I've known volunteer groups to go into Black cemeteries and actually plant yucca. Now, I don't know if it's an invasive species, but I don't care for yucca. I like to think it's an invasive species. These things grow so quickly. You cannot kill them. It's very difficult to kill them or uproot them, and they will take over a cemetery. It's very easy for a stone to get covered up inside of that stuff, and those leaves are prickly. They will stab you, and it does not feel good. So I don't know. I have heard that the yucca was for protection, to keep away, the bad spirits, like the prickliness and such of them would keep away the bad spirits. I've heard things about the seed pods here. These pods have like hundreds of seeds in them, and when the wind blows, they shake and then the seeds come out. I don't know if you can, there's seeds inside there, but I can't. Oh, and it's a spider. Okay, sorry, Mr. Jumping Spider. I know you see me. Yeah, I can't get a good picture inside. Jumping spiders are one of those species that recognizes individual humans. So, hello, my name is Kelly. Nice to meet you. Please don't jump on me. We have some overgrowth happening here. Poor little guy. This is a very thin stone, quite worn away. And on the back we have a temporary marker behind it. It's leaning backwards, so I would guess that it could be uprighted a little bit and fixed, but overall it's okay, in safe condition. There's a plot that's overgrown. And this is interesting. We have these sort of field stones around this tree. There's two of them there, and then one here, and one here. Now, I don't know what these are. These could be, stones that were headstones at one time and got worn down. I don't know that the cemetery is old enough for that to be the case, but it's possible, I suppose. Also, sometimes if people couldn't afford actual headstones, they would just place a large stone as a marker without any sort of engraving in it. So that's a possibility. There's another one there. And there is ivy growing up this tree. Poison ivy is a big problem in Virginia in the cemeteries out here when you let them get overgrown. And contrary to popular belief, ivy does not actually die. Or I should say poison ivy does not actually die. The roots are still very potent, even in winter. The oils on them can get on you and give you a terrible case of poison ivy. And the wind is blowing again. I apologize. It's actually picking up and getting kind of strong. Hopefully you can still hear me. Oh no, headstone down. This little guy, maybe there's a base here. Something you could do if you were working in a cemetery or volunteering in a cemetery. You could probe the ground. You can buy a probe on Amazon for like 15-20 bucks. It can be considered invasive, and it should not be done without permission of the cemetery owners and the descendants who own the stone or plot that you're working on. If everyone agrees and it is deemed safe to do so and not injurious to burials below, depending on how deep the burials are, you could probe the ground around this stone and search for a base. If it doesn't have a base, then you could build one. That's something that you could easily find a video online for. A lot of people are like, no, don't watch online videos. How dare you learn from YouTube? But actually, that is our future, is online learning. It has been for a while. You just have to be smart about where you're getting your information from. You have to be informed, just like anything. You don't just go online and search up some random medication that could help you with a physical health ailment without, researching multiple medications and possibly talking to an expert like a doctor to find out what they suggest, and, getting public opinion, talking to friends and family, like, what do you think? If you do just go out and grab over-the-counter medicine without doing your research, stop doing that. Stop doing that. Do your research before you put things in your body. Do your research before you touch a headstone or a cemetery. And this one still has a base. It could be fixed. It needs to be leveled out. The ground here is very uneven. And this stone can just be plopped back up there. Well, this needs like a new mortar on it. But yeah, you could put that stone back up. Looks like it had a pin inside of it. I don't know if you can see it on my camera. Let's see. It's like right behind this leaf. Okay. Zoom out, zoom in. Okay, see that hole right there? That hole right there is where the pin was. And in the base, there's a hole right here. It's kind of mortared in. So probably it was fixed, or someone tried to fix it after the stone fell over the first time, whatever was going on with the pin. I don't know where the metal is. Maybe somebody took the pin out to stop the rusting process that was happening, and then tried to just use mortar, and that didn't work. It didn't hold. But I think they did it correctly, because it doesn't look like there's any damage to the stone where it broke off. So they did well to fix it. That's the goal. If it has to break, it should break where it's already broken and not cause a new break. I do hear a band off in the distance, so if you hear drumming or something like that, I think there's a group doing practice. So beautiful out here, so peaceful. When I consider that this is the growing season, this cemetery looks amazing. Even with the edges over here that are kind of overgrown. And that could be a protective measure, a security measure. If you have ivy and trees and bushes along the fence, maybe people are less likely to jump over, especially at night if you're trying to secure the cemetery. So I don't know, I always try to think of reasons why people might not be fixing something, or why they might not be addressing something that looks like an issue. And so this could be a reason. it does create a nice little wall, and it is only, or mostly only, around the outsides of the cemetery. We have a little baby stone here. I'm just saying baby because it's small. I don't see any writing or anything on it. It could be on the opposite side of the stone though, who knows. Oh no, these guys out here are weed eating, so I'm gonna have lots of noise in my camera. That's sad. I apologize in advance, y'all. I didn't know they were gonna be out here. Oh, look at the decoration on this stone. I don't know if you can see it. Isn't that beautiful? I'm gonna grab a picture. So if we do go to the back of the cemetery, it might just be a quick trip, because I definitely don't want you to have to deal with hearing that loud noise the whole time we're back here. And it's gonna get louder as I head to the back. And as I told you, I can't speak very loudly. My throat is in serious pain today. And we have a series of 3, looks like red granite or pink granite stones. That they're so kind of worn down, they look, they almost look gray. We got more field stones here. And it's very common in older African American cemeteries to see just a bunch of field stones and maybe nothing else. What am I hearing? Sounds like a bee or something. Just want to keep my eyes open because the bugs do like these overgrown areas, and this is right here an overgrown area right behind me. It's not awful, but it could use a little bit of work, and that's probably what these guys are out here doing. It's so encouraging to see people out here working. Oh my goodness, what was that? I don't know what that was. It's so loud. Wow. There's another one that's sinking down into the ground. It's Harold something. Yeah, I'm scared to go back there now. I don't know what that noise was. It wasn't a gunshot, I don't think, but I don't know what it was. Is there... trying to see if there's a headstone or a temporary marker back here in the woods. It is. I don't know if y'all can see that. Maybe I'll take a picture of it with my phone. Sometimes these things are like Easter egg hunts. Like, can you find it? Okay, those definitely are gunshots. I don't know what's going on out here. Maybe there's some military training or something happening. Ah, there we go. I can see it better with my phone than I can with the camera. I keep trying to see it. My screen is so small, it's difficult to see. It should be right there. There it is. Okay, got it. So hopefully y'all can see that. It's a temporary marker hidden back there in the woods, in the ivy and the bushes and stuff. So there's probably other burials back here as well that just can't be seen. Check my time. 3:48. Okay. Still doing good on time. I'm only about 10-15 minutes away from the school, so that's okay. And you can see here, this tree is dead or dying. The ivy is growing up the tree. And when that happens, it's actually pretty bad because the ivy can pull the tree down. Ivy is very strong, and there are other plants that do that as well, especially some invasive species like kudzu. They will climb up a tree and basically pull it down to the ground. Look at this. This thing has been through some stuff. You can see that people are still loved and folks still come and visit them. And it's going to get louder as I head back here. Nothing I can do about it. And you can see here, right here, and then over here, our curbing just disappears into the ground. There should be a complete square here marking this area off, but it definitely disappears. So that's something that volunteers could do to recover the plots that are sinking. It could take some larger machinery because if the ground is uneven, you might need something like a crane or a gantry or something to lift up some of these curbings. And that's something I would not recommend just a normal volunteer group to do. And then we have back here, the fencing has fallen apart completely. And I don't know what this is. I don't know if you can see that. It's a giant something. Cement? A tree? Maybe it's a tree. It's hard to tell when it's completely covered by like bushes and it's kind of gray and dirty. Excuse me. I think it might be a tree that fell down and possibly took out this fence. That would make a lot of sense. I don't know why the trees here are in such bad condition. This is what makes me think that what I have is allergies, because as these guys are weed eating, they're actually weed eating. My nose is starting to run and my throat is itching more, so maybe I just have really bad allergies this year. So beautiful out here. Look at this name. Y'all see that? It says Glantine. Glantine gray. That's so unusual. Here's a guy who's trying not to sink. Looks like he was in the military. We have a military marker. And my guess is that this one is also a military marker, although the plate there seems to be missing. Is there anything on this side? No. And it's possible that the plate for that could be in the ground. It could have just popped off if it was like bronze or something attached to it. But it is odd that there's a star area and a plate and both are empty. I know that people used to steal like valuable metals from the black cemeteries. And so some cemeteries started actually removing those and keeping them in a safe space. So it will look like the cemetery has been defaced or robbed in some way, but if you check with the owners, sometimes they have just stored these things away. I've known cemeteries, not here in Virginia, but in Alabama, I know that some cemeteries have completely removed original headstones to protect them and have placed like memorial markers or sometimes they just leave it empty and give people a map. So there's a lot of options to help keep a cemetery safe and to stop vandalism from happening in the cemetery. Just grabbing a picture of some of these. All right, let's continue on. I'm not sure what that is. Looks like it might just be some kind of debris. All right, the guys are moving towards the front of the cemetery as I move towards the back, so this might work out. Oh, what's happened here? The ground is super uneven while I'm walking out here, so if my camera is doing weird things, it's because I'm trying not to break my neck. This is odd. Looks like there was a tree here, but then there's like stones placed in and around the stump. I don't know what's going on there. And then we've got these two markers. They do have writing on them, but I can't really read it. And in this case, if the cemetery hasn't been recorded, you know, I would probably clean these stones and document them at least once, because they look fairly old, like maybe they won't last another, 30, 40 years. At least not readable. And yes, I'm going in the woods here, watching for snakes and other critters. Let's see. This is a hand-carved headstone. Oh shoot. I can't get up. I'm like on an incline. I'm gonna break my neck. Oh gosh. Y'all like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can get notified when I release new videos. Well, there's all kinds of stonework back here along the fence. Let me get off of this hill. Actually, I'm gonna go over here real quick, even further down the hill. There's another one. Oh, that's weird. Are there words on this side? They got me way in the weeds over here. Yeah, the words are on this side of the stone. It's actually facing the fence. How odd is that? Oh, we have what might be some sugaring happening on the back of the stone, and then some algae growth. And bird poo. Yay. And this is something that happens when you come through and you weed eat or you cut grass, and then you don't like blow away the grass clippings. And they're still working right now, right? It wouldn't make sense to cut one and then wipe it and then cut another and wipe it. So they'll probably come back and clear it away. But I have been in cemeteries where they don't. And basically what happens is these grass clippings, they stain the stone, but also over time they cover it up. This is how stones begin to sink in the ground sometimes. You get enough grass clippings covering the stone, that breaks down into, topsoil. And that could easily cover the stone several inches in, a year. So you have to be careful of that kind of thing when you are caring for a cemetery. It used to always make the groundskeepers angry when I would be like, guys, you're not cleaning the dirt off the stones. And they're like, well, that'll take forever. I'm like, yeah, and that's okay. The job is to get it done. We have some more here, there, and one right beside it. I'm telling y'all, these are like Easter egg hunts. And I don't mean that in like the fun way. I mean that in like sort of like the video game way, where there's a surprise in the game that people don't know about. And it's an interesting thing that you find. So we have little headstone Easter eggs here and there. And I'm disappointed that they parked their truck here, but where else are they going to put it? This is like a little memorial circle. It's got a flagpole, and a memorial stone, which we'll go look at in a minute. Ooh, this sun is so bright, I absolutely cannot see what's on the camera, so I apologize if you're seeing strange things. It's a really thin tablet here. Did that break? No. What is on the back of it? Y'all see that? What is that? It looks like a handle or something. What in the world? Let's see the front. Oh. I don't know that there is a front. Okay, it was cracked. Okay, so we have a crack that goes from the bottom left corner up to like the mid right side. I don't know if y'all can really see that there, in that crack. And it looks like they did something on the back here to hold that crack together. So you have some kind of metal work here, and it's attached by a metal rod or something to a piece down here. I have no idea what this is. I'm fascinated. I'm gonna, let's see, take a picture of this. Gosh, I feel like my mic is, let's see if I move it down. I feel like it's getting messed up because I've got it in an odd location, and every time I lean down to like take a picture, it moves. Hopefully the distortion is not too awful and y'all can still like hear everything clearly. Lift it up. And here we have some plot markers. I don't know what that code means. Only the people who make it would know. And there's some markers back here in the woods. I see at least the temporary one. It's over here. Ooh, excuse me. Told y'all. Gosh. Yeah, there's a temporary marker right there. Kind of difficult to see if you're not paying attention. It helps that there are brightly colored flowers around it though, even if they are fake flowers. I'm not a fan of fake flowers in cemeteries. They usually just turn into trash. And they make it difficult for people to cut, like in this instance, because a lot of times they're made of like plastic that has a piece of metal running through them for the stem. And you can't cut that with a weed eater. You have to pull those out by hand, which means someone has to go through every plot and pull up all of these flowers. And over time, they just start to look terrible and they break down and fall apart. And then you have littered pieces of flower all over the cemetery. And it does just end up looking like trash in the end. Let me go and grab this memorial spot before these guys start working their way back here. Oh, look at this. We can see there was a pathway here. It got sort of covered up by grass up there. But I would guess if you brought a shovel crew through, they could shovel this up. This stuff still seems to be completely intact. Actually, it's better than some of the cemeteries I visited in Paris. It's just covered with dirt, but everything seems to be fairly even and intact. I have some mounded up areas here. Oh, this poor guy has seen better days. Look at that. And the culprit is probably that metal. I'm telling you, every time, y'all, there's always something metal that's messing stuff up in the cemeteries. Look at this tree. That is a monster. It even looks like a monster. It's dead. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it. This arm right here needs to go. That's going to hurt somebody. It's barely connected to the tree up here. It's splintered and broken into pieces. And I would guess there's several widowmaker branches out here. Let me see if I can grab a picture of this grand and glorious tree. Can I zoom out? There we go. Photo. You know, nothing is cooperating today. The sun is in the wrong place. The wind is blowing on me and the workers are out here. It's okay though. We're getting her done. This is the Central Memorial area. So you drive up the pathway. If I can get my camera to work. Okay. So you drive up the pathway over here. Come on, camera. Okay, cameraman is fired. We need to hire a new camera person, which would be me. Anyway, the pathway comes up and goes around here in a circle and then heads right back out the way you came in. So that's probably why these guys parked here. But it's a beautiful space. It's got a bench on either side and it says unknown, reclaimed in 1985, love is eternal. And I don't know what that means. There's probably some story about that. No idea from my perspective, with no history on this cemetery, no idea what that means. Let me grab a picture with my phone. It's not going to be beautiful because the truck is in it, but that's okay. And then we're gonna start circling around and heading out. This looks like a newly placed sort of chain link thing, marking out a plot of some kind. Maybe somebody's doing some research out here or something. As I've stated in previous videos, well, I don't actually know if I said it in a video. I think I said it in the comments on a video when people were talking about how knowledgeable other folks were about people who were buried in the cemeteries, specifically the Paris cemeteries. I do want to state that there are online lists for those buried in the cemeteries. So it's quite easy to find that information, which is why I don't dig into it. I just give links to it. If you really want to know who's buried where, the government site for Paris has links to stuff. Wikipedia has links to stuff. The cemeteries themselves, like the little villas that they're in, they have links to burials. All of them have different information, right? But it's there and you can access it pretty easily. I don't know about for like the normal person like myself, but for those more well-known people, those more sought-after burials, those you can find fairly easily. So I don't really get into that. Also, another reason I'm not going to really get into who's buried where is because you usually leave somebody out, right? Like in my videos, I try to, after the fact, go through and make note of some of the burials I see, just because I know some people are really interested in that, but that is not my goal in doing these videos. My goal is to really look at and capture, I guess, the essence and the feel of a cemetery, to explore the upkeep and caretake and preservation and conservation of a place, to consider different practices that are being done in different cemeteries, culturally and ethnically and all of these other things. And the guys are coming back towards me with their machinery. Thought they were going to work up the other side. I guess not. And I'm really, really focused on preservation practices because that is one of my goals. Look at this. And he's got little, like, art things. That's so cool. Let me see if I can grab a picture of it. The flower is nice, but it kind of blocks my view. Aww. This is our angel, baby Raekwon Dean Montague. I always hate to see the child burials. It's so sad. I'm also looking at the symbolism on the headstones. Although today is not a great day because of the direction of the sun. I should really come back later. Oh, and look at this. It's a bench with a carving in it. Fix my mic again. Gosh, y'all. It's just a day for technical difficulties. I might have to revisit this cemetery later. This bush has thorns in it, so I'm actually not going to move it to try and read this. It says if tears could... something, stairway and memories, something, I'd walk right up to heaven and bring you something. Beloved Irene. Yeah, I'm sad that that's covered up. I bet that's quite a little beautiful saying there. Maybe next time I will bring my gloves, and that way I can touch stuff without worrying about getting stabbed by thorns or attacked by poison ivy. Trying to walk on the pathway here. I'm going to show you something really cool in a minute. All my genealogy people are going to love it. One thing that's interesting to note is it doesn't seem to matter which direction the headstones are facing. Like, the writing can be on either side of the headstones, front or back. I don't know if that's an indication of the direction of burials or if that's just the placement of stones. I'm not really clear what happened there. I've seen some facing the gate over there. I'm not sure what direction that is. Let me see. Pull out the handy dandy compass. Okay, so they're facing sort of eastish, which is that way, but there are a couple that are facing this way, which is west. So I don't know. Kind of flies in the face of the idea that most of our U.S. burials face east. But I found that to be the case in a lot of cemeteries, especially when you get into like those, what do they call it? Like the garden movement cemeteries. Okay, this is what I want to show y'all. Let me check this out. So on the front, we have your typical headstone, and I'm sorry, we're facing the sun, so it's difficult to see. But it says in loving memory, Lewis, and it's got the name of the husband and wife, loving mother and Nana, son, brother, and can't see because it's covered up by the flowers, and there's a picture of a guy. And this one beside it is another Lewis, Esquire, precious daughter and sister, so maybe she's a lawyer. So see the scales of justice there. And that's really cool. And then when you go to the back, I love this. So you're not going to be able to see it very clearly because it's small writing. But it says Phyllis Yvette Lewis was born in Brooklyn, New York, moved to Fredericksburg, Virginia at the age of 2 years and was baptized at the Shiloh Baptist Church new site in 1975. She attended the Ann Hamrick Community House Preschool and the Fredericksburg City Public Schools in 1985. Phyllis traveled to France with the school French Club and graduated from James Monroe High School in 1986, receiving an Advanced Studies course diploma. Phyllis enrolled at Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. She was active in the varsity women's track team, the Modern Black Mass Choir, and the Black Student Alliance. Phyllis graduated from Duke in 1991 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology. Go Phyllis. During the summer of 1992, Phyllis enrolled in the Thurgood Marshall School of Law at Texas Southern University. While in law school, she was on the Dean's List and President's List. She was also the recipient of numerous awards for mock trial competitions and won 3 Premia Excellencia Awards for the highest average in the jurisprudence trial simulation and homeless advocacy courses. That's great because I'm going to be working with homeless in my sociology class this year. Cool connection. As the outstanding student in the in the Thurgood Marshall Seminar, Phyllis received the American Jurisprudence Award. The summer of 1994, Phyllis earned a certificate in international law studies at the University of Nairobi, in Nairobi, Kenya. Phyllis earned her Juris Doctor degree in 1995 and was admitted to the Texas State Bar in 1996. They are not dead who live in lives they leave behind. And those whom they have blessed, they live a life again, and shall live through the years, eternal life, and grow each day more beautiful, as time declares their good, forgets the rest, and proves their immortality. Very big difference in those 2 words. That's cool. Like, you basically get Phyllis's life story, right? It's so neat. And then we have this one over here. I'm just going to put it right in my shadow. If I can get it. Nope, then you can't see it. I tell you what, the sun and me. That's all right. I'll take some pictures with my phone and post them online, but I'll go ahead and read it. It says, "Gone too soon. Like a comet blazing across the evening sky, gone too soon. Like a rainbow fading in the twinkling of an eye, gone too soon. Shining and sparkly and splendidly right, here one day, gone one night. Like the loss of the sunlight on a cloudy afternoon, gone too soon." What a cool poem. I wonder who wrote that. They don't put like the name of the author. And it says, Warren D. Lewis was born on August 8, 1971 in Fredericksburg, Virginia. He unexpectedly passed away Saturday, February 20th, 2010 at the Good Samaritan Hospital in Baltimore, Maryland. He was 38 years of age. Warren attended the Ann Hamrick Community House Preschool and Fredericksburg City Public Schools. He was a member of the 1986 and 1987 state championship football teams and graduated from James Monroe High School in 1990 with an athletic scholarship. My throat is hurting, y'all, sorry. Warren attended Towson University in Maryland and graduated in 1995 with a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology. He also attended the University of Baltimore Graduate School and was employed at Prometric as a client services manager. Warren was survived by his wife Maureen Arthur Lewis, a son, Cooper Arthur Lewis, both of Baltimore, Maryland, his mother Mary E. Lewis of Fredericksburg, one uncle, numerous loving nieces, nephews, and cousins. He was preceded in death by his sister Phyllis Y. Lewis, and that's the lady we just read about. Like an eternal flame, your memory will live on in our hearts forever, missing you every day, still loving you in every way. So, why am I so close to the camera? There we go. Whew, y'all got a good look at me. I apologize, I'm standing with my back to the sun, so you're probably going to get blinded while I grab these photos. But I just thought that was really cool to like have your obituary on the back of the headstone, you know, take a picture of this. And then that way, sorry, I was really close. And that way I can overlay it on the video later. Wow, this mic is like up against my neck. Let's see. I got a feeling this is not going to go well later when I try to edit. We'll see what happens though. You never know. Sometimes I get lucky. But yeah, for people trying to do like genealogy work, if you come to a cemetery and all the family's names are already on the back of the headstone, your work is done for you, right? You have your groundwork for the first, maybe second, maybe third generation. And then you can begin your work there. And that is amazing. It is so hard to do genealogy work a lot of times for Black people in this country. And it's extremely frustrating, especially if you trace your roots through human trafficking and enslavement. So I wish that we could do more stones like that. I'm not sure of the process they used to put those on the back of the stones. They were able to do it in a way that didn't cause damage to the stone, at least not yet. And it looks nice, it's unobtrusive, and it literally tells like their life story. And that's pretty awesome because you get more information than you might even get from doing genealogical research, like on Ancestry or Family Search, or even in like a heritage library or something like that. So it's pretty cool. I don't plan to be buried in the cemetery, but if I did, I would probably do something like that. We have another grand tree here. You can see branches have fallen around it, so it's probably not a good idea for me to walk under it. And I might not. Oh, the guys have left. That's good. Now that I'm at the end and have done all my pictures and recording, that's all right. Well, they did quick work and they left a lot of this just as wild growth. So I'm not sure. Maybe they have certain rules or standards for working with these headstones. Maybe they don't cut around the headstones with their weed eaters, which I applaud if that's the case. I definitely applaud that, because no matter how gentle your little plastic line is on your weed eater, it still damages the stones. I don't care what anyone tells you, it damages the stones. And those plastic lines, excuse me, the ones that are supposed to be more gentle, I forget the thread name and number or whatnot, but those ones that are supposed to be really gentle, they break off after some time when they hit a stone repeatedly, and then they litter the ground. And the grounds workers do not bother to stop and pick up those little plastic neon yellow, neon orange, and neon pink threads that are laying all over the cemetery, and it turns into trash. The best way to care for these, especially when they have growths like right up around them, is to weed those by hand. A lot of people don't like that, especially if you have a huge cemetery. It's like, how can we keep up with the demand to do that? But that is actually what is called for, especially if you're working in a historic cemetery. I'll walk up under this tree. Hopefully no branch falls on my head. I have another military marker. I think I've only seen about, 4 or 5 military markers here. I have more field stones in this area. We have a deep depression. It's hard with the camera to pick up a depression in the ground. It's really hard to see. Like maybe if I laid on the ground and like sort of pointed the camera across the ground, you could see it. But I've noticed, like, even with cameras, when you try to capture like an incline of a slope or something, it never quite gets it right. And so something like this is very difficult to see, that there's a huge indentation here, indicative of a burial. And this poor stone is sinking because of it. Excuse me. And I hate this. You can see the angle the stone is at as it sinks. These are like the frustrating ones because it'll sink like sideways and it'll end up standing straight with like this end pointing straight up in the air. And so when you go to probe for it, you're looking for this long, like 2.5 foot long stone or something, and you can't find it because all you have pointing upwards is like this 6, or that's a foot, probably foot long side of it. So you have to be very careful when you're probing to consider all alternatives, or this thing could even fall at a weird angle so that the closest thing you touch is actually the edge of the stone, and you could mistake it for a rock or something rather than an actual headstone that's submerged. And take for example this guy. That is a stone that is submerged in the ground. I would guess it's not a coping since it is like right, it's not in the right place for one. As you see, we have like the plot coping or curbing over there. That runs, I don't know how many feet that is. Maybe 8 feet, 10 feet, I'm not sure. But this guy coming across like this should not be a plot marker of any kind, unless it was like a quarter plot or something. Lucinda, that's a cool name. Whoa, she was 90 years old when she died. All right, what was that? Something over here moved. Tell you, I can't walk through a cemetery nowadays without critters following me. Ever since those last couple cemeteries in Paris, I've had creepy crawlies popping out of bushes at me. And there's so much open space right here. It makes me wonder if there are burials. I see some indentations that could be indications of burials. They could also be indications of, down trees. When the roots come up, they leave a similar indentation that, a burial would leave. I can actually kind of see lines where curbing should be, which is interesting. And then we have this headstone that's like literally against the fence and up inside a bush. Looks like there might be access to water over here, which is nice. Some kind of water pump. Oh no, what happened to you? Wow, look at that. It's covered. That's something you could take a little water to and get rid of with the plastic scraper. I've been to some cemeteries that, scrape those things off and clean them. But if it's like an environmental thing where the environment is just conducive to lichen growth, then it's going to happen. There's another military marker right here. Oh, sorry, I'm zoomed in too far. Another headstone sinking in the ground. And we are back up at the front again. See a little bit of trash up here. It's not too awful. It's unfortunate because there are trash cans like dispersed here and there throughout the cemetery. They've actually done pretty well. I've seen at least 3 trash cans here. Excuse me. All right, so that is the Shiloh Cemetery. I apologize for all of the noise and issues with the mic and the wind and just like everything, my coughing, all of that. Nothing I could do about it. Sometimes that's just the way it is. I thought I would take advantage of some of my free time to come out and walk a cemetery and I don't know, this may be a bust depending on how the video turns out. I may have to record it again. Let me grab a picture of the opening with my phone. So beautiful. There we go. And we are gonna head on out of here. I'll show you the way out. This is actually downhill. There's a tennis court over there. Nobody seems to be in it. All right, so I'm going to try to cover more cemeteries around my area. Well, not my area, it's not where I live, but around my school. I spend a lot of time out here, even though I don't live here. It kind of feels like it sometimes. And there are plenty of cemeteries here. In fact, there's some I've never been to that I really want to visit. Like I think there's like a national cemetery here or something. So I want to go check that out. I've seen it and it's beautiful, at least in my opinion. I've heard other people complain about it. So my list of cemeteries is going to start here very locally. I might extend to my hometown, but I try not to do too much in my hometown. Because first, I don't want everybody to know where I live. And second, there's a lot of like political issues in my area, race and political issues that I don't want to deal with when it comes to recording cemeteries or doing anything in cemeteries. So I kind of avoid it like the plague, but who knows, I may do a couple of videos there. I will also be bringing some of my family members out when I do these videos, and maybe some friends, so you might get to see some people tag along with me. And I have planned to do one video, not in my hometown, but not too far from it, where I plan to actually interview the leader of a volunteer group in that cemetery and find out more about their efforts and what they're doing. So good things coming up. Thank you for walking with me today and dealing with some of the issues we dealt with today. Again, it's out of my control, nothing I could do about it, but I appreciate it anyway. Yeah, hopefully I'll get this out soon and there'll be more cemetery videos coming. Thanks for walking with me at A Place for KP, and I will see you next time. Bye.